Hey there, baseball fans. Nathan Rohde and Shooter Hunt here with the latest episode of Coffee and Curveballs. Shooter, we're back from Thanksgiving break, and that means one thing. It's time to dive into the college recruiting classes.
Oh, yeah, the players have signed. The classes have really come together, so now we can take a good glimpse, let all these college baseball fans know what has the potential to make it to campus.
No doubt. Obviously, we still got the draft coming up in June, so some of these guys won't end up on campus, but we're looking at everything, talking about whether the chances of some of those guys making it and what the makeup of these classes are. But we're starting with a powerhouse conference in the SEC, namely the SEC East. So right off the bat, we've got Florida. And at the top, you're looking at two guys that you automatically think aren't getting to the Gators. Crazier things have happened. Guys do end up on Florida's campus quite a bit. But Hunter Barco and Riley Green are a couple of guys that could probably bank on them not getting to campus as first round, talents. But if you look at this class, they do have two guys that are planning to get to campus for the spring semester in Judd Fabian and Nolan Crisp.
Yeah, Florida's really become the gold standard of recruiting because the talent is so rich in state, and they get the top guys there. You're looking at Matthew Allen, who's a big-time right-handed arm, could also be a draft guy, but a potential Friday night guy once he gets on campus. Josh Rivera, third baseman, who I think is going to be a middle-of-the-order bat for them once he gets there. He had a great showing in Jupiter. Tyler Nesbitt was a late add to this class, who was another guy who was a potential front-end arm, weekend starter almost immediately. And then Isaac Nunez, another draft guy at shortstop who is a powerful bat from the right side. He's a guy who could be looking at the draft, but they get to Florida and they improve their draft stock. That's what happens a lot of times for the Gators.
It certainly does. So we'll see which ones they can get to make it to campus next fall. But heading up to Georgia, this is obviously a pretty strong class for the Bulldogs. Right at the top, we got Spencer Keefe, who's a physical infielder. Sean Duncan saw him randomly in the spring, and he had the day of his life, hitting 3 bombs. I got a little glimpse in Jupiter. It's an aggressive hack, and he's strong. He doesn't get cheated at the plate. Yep. Obviously a marquee guy for this class. If he makes it to campus, it's a blue chip prospect for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and the thing that I get out of Georgia all the time is you find big, strong right-handers on the mound, and that's what Will Childers, Brandon Smith, you're bringing guys who have the potential to throw mid-upper 90s by the time they're done. But Rhodey, the guy that I really like in this Georgia class, a kid named Buddy Floyd. And I think he's going to be everybody's favorite player on campus. Everybody in Athens is going to know who Buddy Floyd is by the time he's done playing at Georgia.
Excellent. Moving a little bit west over to the Wildcats of Kentucky. At the top of that class, you got a really loose, easy, long, projectable guy out of Illinois in right-hander Zach Lee, former future gamer. Obviously, chance to be a weekend starter at some point down the line. But then I know a guy from New Jersey that you like is Ron Cole.
Oh, yeah, Ronnie Cole, very similar actually to Zach Lee, coming out of a similar spot, a slot, 3/4, long frame. I think they're going to throw even harder, be able to sink it. And Jimmy Bellinger, pitching coach there, has just had a great track record of developing arms like these guys. You also tossed in Drew Grace, a shortstop out of Pennsylvania, who we got to see in Jupiter, who did a really nice job there. And then another projectable right-hander, Harrison Cook. We talked about him a few weeks ago. Up into the low 90s, really good breaking ball. And then one more guy to watch, another Jersey kid, Alex Margot, big left-hander. I think he's going to throw a lot harder on campus. He's going to get on that throwing program, pack on another 15, 20 pounds, and be a big-time guy.
Nice. Moving over to Missouri, we got Eric Renzel at the top of the class, a catcher out of Minnesota. Then Ben Peterson, a right-hander out of Minnesota. Missouri, the Tigers really mining that Midwest talent out there.
Yeah, and they get some big, strong guys. Renzel can really stroke it. He's a big dude, going to really fill out a uniform when he steps on the field, be ready to go as a freshman potentially. And then Peterson's the same way, 6'4", 215, 220, looks the part on the mound, imposing. And then Jalen Greer, good-looking athlete from Illinois. We got to see him again at the future games. Moves well side to side, has a chance to stick at shortstop and hit at the top of that order for the Tigers.
Yeah, certainly. Greer's definitely got some good tools if he can put it all together. Could be a pretty dynamic player for Missouri. But then back over to the East Coast, you got South Carolina. Top of that class is Tyler Callahan, potential two-way guy for the Gamecocks because of his ability on the mound. His value for the future is tied to that left-handed bat. He's raking for Team USA right now. Nothing surprising out of him. Chances of him getting to campus aren't very good, so look at the rest of this class with Jonathan Mockmer, Jax Cash, Brennan Malone. Not the Brennan Malone that you're thinking of, but pretty good class even if you don't get Callahan.
Yeah, and this was a crossover class where the new coaching staff's coming in, and they're holding on to some of the guys. They got to hold on to Callahan, which would be huge if he gets to campus because he locks down that 3-hole for a few years. But Braylon Wimmer, out of Oklahoma, we've talked about in the past, had a bad leg injury, which kept him out for much of his junior year. But he was a future gamer who put on a show there, and I really like the way he got after it. Has a chance to be the shortstop in Columbia for a while. This is a good-looking class. They'll probably add some more JUCO guys, and then really Callahan, Mockmer, Jax Cash, Brennan Malone. Those are all real good players.
Another coaching staff that has transitioned very recently is Tennessee. You got Tony Vitello taking over there, who was a dynamic recruiter at TCU and Arkansas. Now he's the head coach, and he's got Josh Elander working for him on the recruiting trail. But top of that class, he's really jumping into Georgia. His three top guys are Ethan Anderson, a catcher out of Georgia, Connor Housley, a right-hander, and Gavon Ray, out of Georgia as well. And then Mark McLaughlin. So that's four of their top guys are out of Georgia. So Coach Vitello and his staff obviously knowing that they got talent in Tennessee, but they're going to need to go elsewhere to compete in the SEC as well.
Yeah, I actually had to pull out a map to just see how close Georgia was to Knoxville because so many guys are going over there. But two more that I really like who are not from Georgia coming out of Tennessee. Jarrell Ortega out of Florida, who had a great summer, just seemed to hit every time we saw him. Doug Freeman, our director down there, our scouting director in Florida, has had nothing but great things to say about Ortega. And then Cortland Lawson, who, Rhodey, out of Virginia, is a guy that I really like, just wiry and athletic, has a chance to stick in the infield, may even throw some innings on the mound for the Volunteers by the time everything's said and done. But good class and a lot of Georgia kids coming in Tennessee. And
competing in-state in Tennessee there, obviously coming out of Nashville, you got Vanderbilt. And shockingly, this is a class that has a ton of players in it, not just talented players, but it's loaded in quantity as well. At the top, you got Jack Leiter out of New Jersey. I can see Jack Leiter being the kind of guy that is a first-round talent getting to campus, not just because it's Vanderbilt, but also just kind of the profile of Leiter, being a little bit undersized, so there are going to be some questions surrounding that. But chances are, if I'm making a guess, I'm going to say Leiter signs, but good chance for him to get to campus. But then you got Spencer Jones, Anthony Volpe, Kendall Williams, obviously a lot of upside in this class and a good chance for a lot of these guys to make it to campus.
Yeah, tradition never graduates at Vanderbilt. They just keep bringing guys in. But you said Volpe at shortstop. He's playing with Team USA. He's just the winner. He's every college coach, every pro scout's favorite player, just does everything right. Kendall Williams, another high upside right-hander out of Florida. Your boy Sam Leboki out of California, big right-hander. Carter Young out of Washington, who could really pick it. Just a good baseball player. Michael Doolin just pounds the zone from the right side. This class goes deep. Two guys that I really want to touch on who I think if they get to campus have a chance to really grow. Maxwell Romero out of Florida, big, powerful left-handed hitting catcher from down there. And then you're looking at actually two more arms. Sorry, Rhodey. Nick Maldonado, potential two-way guy out of New Jersey, can swing a little bit and is not scared on the mound, just attacks guys there. And then Thomas Schultz was a right-hander who just real clean arm, tall, ball comes out easy, pounds the zone. You know what you're going to expect from him. Good-looking prospect, but Vanderbilt, they just bring arms every year.
They do. It's always loaded. Always good classes with a lot of quantity, but quality as well. So that's a look at the SEC East. On the next episode of Coffee and Curveballs, we'll have the SEC West. But as always, you can jump on prepbaseballreport.com and check out a podcast where we'll obviously go into a lot more depth about each of these classes. So until then, for Shooter Hunt, I'm Nathan Rohde. This was Coffee and Curveballs, and we'll see you guys at the ballpark.